Hello and welcome to the Sim Touring Car Cup Championship, the world's premier sim racing broadcasting championship. I'm your commentator Tristan Cliff, and joining me for this event, the co-commentator Mike Johnson.
Thank you, Tristan. For round 2, the series moves to the Fern Rallycross circuit, which was sure to provide lots of thrills and spills since this is a very narrow, quite difficult to drive circuit. Green and Arends both had a penalty from race 1, which promotes Baker to second place. The UKCT Net team is now sporting a new paint job to avoid confusion with Rob Sherborne's colour scheme. Alain Lang from iTech Racing proves that he enjoys a challenge by stepping into the XRT seat vacated for this round only by his teammate Strobe. So best of luck to him, since I imagine the XRT will be an exceptionally difficult car to drive competitively on this circuit. On board for a lap of Fern Rallycross Green, coming down the start-finish straight past the lights heading into turn 1, the dust bank. The dust bank has some high banked curves, so it's very easy to catch one and flip the car over. It's also quite difficult to match the line properly to come into the blind second turn, the Sahara hairpin. It's where the surface switches from tarmac to loose, sharp corner, very slow corner. Hard on the power now, heading down towards the jump. That can have a major impact on the next corner. It's very, very difficult to control the speed and be going fast enough to have the right line to get into the last corner. It's also very easy to run wide here, and that can cost you time in a big way. Through the final corner and back onto the tarmac again and down the start-finish straight, and that is it. It is a very short, very tricky track.
Okay, the grid for round 2 are in pole position. We have Pinola in the RB4. The front row in fact dominated by RB4. Second place, Dustin Dawes, Larry Mullen team. And in third place, Sam Hopkinson. Row 2, fourth place, Pickard of the South City Cab Company in the FXO. FXO's green for MG Power, and HEP for the WRC team. Row 3 in Begerman for Okrana Racing, Sherborne for his own privateer team, and Bauer for POD, top 3 in RB4s and an XRT. On row 4 we have Avarth, Lang and Rowe, an XRTs and FXOs starting to fall down the grid here. And on row 5 in last position, 13th, we have Baker for his own privateer team, again with an FXO. So 35 laps of this short but difficult circuit, tarmac, part dirt. Start. Everyone's formed up on the grid now. The start's just a few moments away. Overhead shot. Green. Excellent start for the front 3. Sherborne's come up from the third row, but there's been some contact. Green's not HEP onto the grass. For HEP there, this is on board. We can see there's a lot of argy-bargy. Rowe seems to have got up to 5th, but Sherborne's been pushed off the track after his excellent start, so there just wasn't enough room for him to get up there. But Pinola keeps the lead. Dustin Dawes is second now, with Sam Hopkinson and Green trailing behind. Rowe has kept 5th place, this is Havarth. Havarth's off, but he looks like he's recovering, and Baker's carried on. So a little bit of a delay for both. Either of them were damaged. This is Hopkinson and Green. Green challenging for third place here. You can just see Dawes running a little bit wide there, but it looks already as though Pinola's got the pace, got the measure of the following cars. This is Rowe and Pickard down in 5th and 6th. The rest of the field streaming through. Sherborne. That was Pickard running a little bit wide there. He's obviously trying to get past Rowe now. Wide again. This isn't doing his battle any good. This is Sherborne trying to recover from the start, but he's been spun round again and knocked into by, I can't see who it is from this camera angle, but Sherborne has had to spent a lot of time recovering, and he's almost certainly damaged his car, so it'd be interesting to see how much pace he's got after this now.
This is a message from race control. Peter Beckman will be investigated after a race for an incident involving Rob Sherborne.
Oh, but back towards the front, but it looks as though Rowe's got the lines covered where it's important, and he's just clipped the Armco there. He's lost a few tenths of a second. This is on board with Sherborne, the lap 3 accident, and he just kept getting knocked, and then the back got pushed round. But this, saying earlier that Pinola had the legs of everyone, but maybe it doesn't seem to be like that, as Dustin Dawes has got past both of them in RB4s, of course, the Dawson car on the track. Lap 5.
Okay, coming over the jump. Dawes looks like he's made his stick. Although he is running quite wide on that corner, he has a habit of taking quite a wide line there. Yeah, on board with Pinola now. You can see a little bit of damage to Pinola's front wing. Now we're looking at a replay. That's where the damage came from. Pinola's tapped the wall, which is obviously how Dawes got up to him in the first place. Back with the two of them now. Looks like they're having a really good fight. But at this point it's looking as though Dawes has just about got the measure of him. It looks like he's going to keep the lead. So they're classified at the moment. We have Dawes, Pinola, Hopkinson, Green, Pickard, Rowe, Lang, Bow, Begeman, Hepp, Baker, Sherborne and Hobarth. The XRT's having quite a tough time here. Looks like the front runners are all RB4s and FXOs. That's to be expected. I wouldn't fancy trying to drive an XRT around this track. A little bit about Pinola. He comes from Finland. He's a former Nations Cup winner. He's done a little bit of karting. He's currently a full-time student, and we're watching him. You know, he's sticking on to the back of Dawes pretty well there. Interesting line, slight difference in line there. Pinola appears to be sort of braking a little bit later, and whereas Dawes is almost sliding the car through, trying to keep the speed up as much as possible. Dawes runs wide there. Still watching the leading pair then coming down the straight. Pinola's having a good look down the outside, but I don't think he's going to make that go. No, he's now looking down the inside and switching back to the inside again. Right, as they come through and over the jump, no, he hasn't made it go. Dawes has still got the lead. Dawes showing that classic there, that wide line again. That's going to get him into trouble if he keeps doing that. It allows Pinola to close right up, and we've got a spinner. It's Lang in the XRT, standing in for stroke for this round only for their Team iTech. Looks like he's about to get lapped. This could be interesting. First bit of traffic that the two leaders have had to come up against. He's going to be a good boy and let them both through. So both the leaders through cleanly to lap Lang. And now we're on board with. I'm not sure. We're seeing Baker and Bow. Is it Hobarth?
We're on board with Hepp, actually. We're on board with Hepp.
Oh, it's Hepp. Interesting. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, I see. Lang got pushed out. That's what caused his spin.
It's back to the front now. We've got Dawes and Pinola still battling for first and second. Dustin Dawes there again doing his very wide line, but he gets it back to the right, just the wall right, and covers him down the start-finish straight. But Pinola's got a good look here, dives down the inside. Can Dustin switch back and take the lead? A bit of argy-bargy, but it was just enough to give Pinola the momentum. So Pinola's back in front again. Be interesting to see how quickly he disappears and whether or not he makes another mistake. On board with him now over the yump, the back straight. Slightly tighter line. If we were on board with Dawes, you'd see his almost trademark now wide line. But anyway, Pinola in first, Dawes second, Hopkinson third, Green, Pickard, Rowe, then Begeman in seventh, Bauer in eighth, Sherborne in ninth, 10th Hepp, 12th Hobarth, 11th Hobarth, sorry, and 12th Lang. Baker has retired. Didn't actually catch why he had retired, but that was Dawes just clipping the wall, just clipping the wall there.
He got disconnected whilst we were watching the excitement of the lead changing hands. Unfortunately, poor old Baker got disconnected, and that's him out. As we're watching Hopkinson and Green coming through. And Bakeman and Rowe going for it. Down for 7th. They're weaving and bobbing. Oh dear. Oh right, Dawes has stuffed it in the fence in a big way there. In fact, he makes slight contact with Sam Hopkinson, and that's him right down in 4th. That's going to have done some damage to the car. Rose hit the Armco there, I'm not quite sure why. Didn't see what happened to him.
The earlier incident with Dustin allowed Jack Green to go into 2nd. He passed them both, so now it's Pinola ahead of Green with probably quite a big lead now.
Well, that's not good. I'm not entirely sure who's at fault there, but two cars have had a big coming together. A bit of 6 of one and half a dozen of another as the back end of both cars gets a bit loose, but it seems to have been James Rose had the worst of that. Dawes here, he's lost the back end in a big way, and it looks like he's damaged. Yep, the left rear's damaged. That's going to make it almost.
Not the one we saw from this camera earlier. So quick recap: Hopkinson's just got back into 2nd. Green's dropped down again into 3rd. This is Rowe.
It's looking as though at least a couple out there are going to find it very difficult to get to the end of the race.
Yeah, this is Rowe again, causing more trouble. Got tapped by Hep, but he was all over the place, and now he's with his teammate Green. So I think there's going to be a bit of an argument going on in the MG camp a bit later. This is for the battle for 7th. Hep in the blue and yellow FXO. Word from the pits, Dustin Dawes has retired, presumably too much damage to continue, I would imagine.
Rob Sherborne getting it wrong on turn 2. Oh dear, Johnny Pickard's gone straight into him. There wasn't really a lot Johnny Pickard could do about that, coming around the corner to find the car parked right in his path. Rob Sherborne backs it out of the way nicely.
Yeah, that corner actually quite blind from a driver's perspective, so he would have come around that corner and the Armco would have sort of jumped out of the way and he would have been presented with the broadside car in front of him, and he'd have had nowhere to go, especially as it changes to a loose surface there, and he'd have just locked up his tyres and gone straight into the side.
So we're looking at Sam Hopkinson and Jack Green there, 2nd and 3rd. Looks as though Pinola is beginning to do a disappearing act. Now he hasn't got Dustin Dawes pushing him all the time. He's got a reasonable amount of gap. Orbath being blue flag gets out of the way. Sam Hopkinson doesn't quite get past him on the straight. Onto the loose now, and they've still got the traffic. Jack Green pushing at the back of Sam Hopkinson. It obviously wants past, but he's going to have to do it the fair way. And now the traffic does get out of the way, and they're both through.
Yeah, I think Jack was getting a bit excited there, wasn't willing to wait for the back marker to get out of the way, and this track just can't really cope with more than 3 wide at any one point. In fact, more than 2 wide is really risking it, so Jack just really should have just sat there and waited for a space, but he's got away with it, so another back marker.
Yeah, I'm on board with Green now from Team MG Power, going around the last bend. Got marginally held up by the back marker there, allowing Hopkinson to get a couple of car lengths in front, but more speed of the FXO down the tarmac straight, and he's just about closed the gap back up. We're watching Johnny Pickard now fighting his way through the same back markers that Green and Hopkinson have just gone by.
And he dives through on the inside there. So a nice bit of driving there by Pickard. Dispatched him very cleanly. No accidents involving the leaders and back markers. Green getting a little bit sideways under braking, trying to close up the gap to third place.
Now on lap 23, Pinola is doing a disappearing act. In fact, he's almost 12 seconds below his time. Hopkinson third. We've got Green, Pickard, Hepp, Bauer, Horvath, Sherborne, Lang and Rowe. Everybody else, unfortunately, this has retired.
The start, Sherborne, this is the third row. He's straight up into what looks like fourth position from here, on the inside as well, so he's probably feeling, but he gets barred from the back, which knocks him into second place, straight over the nasty curbs on the inside, and he just has to rejoin, by which time he's pretty much in last place. This is now from Bauer's perspective. He gets knocked by Green on the right, which we couldn't see it from that camera angle, but it knocked Hepp onto the grass and held him up from the start, but it looked as though he actually recovered later in the race.
Was that Green? I thought that might have been Rowe coming from that grid position. I'm not sure which of the MG
in which case it was a good start. It was a good start for Rowe.
Rowe did get a stormer, didn't he?
Yeah, he was up to, well, if this was from the start, he was up, and he was quite way down on the grid. He was actually in 12th position out of 13 runners, so, you know, start of the day has to go to James Rowe. Lap 26 of this 35 lap race. We're watching Pickard, I think it is, and Green in the GFXO. Ahead is Hopkinson, pulling out a bit of a gap now, actually quite a bit of a gap.
That's James Rowe. They're going past James Rowe, who's still managing to keep the car going, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, but at some point he's going to get disqualified for having a car in such condition. It's so far off the pace, it's now becoming a liability. I can't imagine the clerk of the course or even the competitors themselves taking a happy view of his actions. And he's run wide again, possibly to get out of the way of his teammate Green.
Yes, he's really just getting in the way, isn't he? We're watching Jack Green and Johnny Pickard there, both FXOs, both doing really, really well actually. I mean, Jack Green was quoted as saying that the FXO handles like a bathtub full of lard on an ice rink on this circuit. So for the pair of them to be in contention, third and fourth, and obviously driving very, very similar lap times, they're obviously holding it together very well.
But their little battle is holding themselves up, I think, and it's allowing Hopkinson to pull away. Hopkinson seems to be in a safe second position for the time being. Don't know how long that will last.
That's Lang from iTech being lapped by Hopkinson there. The two FXOs are now going to have that traffic to deal with, which might have a little bit of an impact on their battle.
Same token,
back there from Green's car.
If the back marker gets out of the way more easily for Green, then it could close the gap up to Hopkinson and allow Green and Pickard to challenge for second place rather than just battling for third.
Alain Lang's been a good boy and stayed really wide and let the pair of them straight through.
So closing stage of the race now, lap 30, just 5 to go, including this one. The race seems to have settled down now, apart from this battle we're watching now. So Pinola has run away with it. He's 15 seconds in front, with Hopkinson in second, Green nearly in fourth, but still actually holding on to third by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, looking back again there from Jack Green, you can see just how close Johnny Pickard is, but I think, to be honest, if he'd got the legs to get by, he probably would have done so by now. I think Jack's going to manage to hold on to third. You got Pinola coming up on the back straight though. He's actually not that far behind them, so he's going to have lapped an awful lot of people by now.
But James Rowe has discovered a new driving line by the looks of it. His damage has got to the stage where he can't do corners now. He's just run round the and a huge accident for James Rowe. He's not going to be able to continue from that. There's just no way.
He can push the brake pedal all he likes. He's staying where he is. And here comes the safety car. First time this race, which is actually quite impressive. I thought that most of this race would be trundling around very slowly behind this thing, but no, the drivers have managed to hold it together quite well. As the replay of James Rowe getting that one, well, that's a very interesting way of trying to get around that corner.
I was just thinking that I wouldn't like to be driving the safety car around this track in the it's a race about, and it's not the easiest car to drive on a tarmac track, let alone mostly dirt one. So you don't have to push the pace, so you can just trickle around and try not to spin the thing and make a fool of themselves. But everyone's bunched up now. It's really hurt Pinola the most because he had spent a lot of effort and time building up a big lead, but it's brought Hopkinson right back into contention for the last few laps. But at the moment it looks as though the race is going to finish under the safety car, so which will be a first for the Sim Touring Car Cup. This is a replay.
You can see
replay.
As they're forming the crocodile behind the safety car, it looks like there's been some contact and someone's got shoved out of the way. Oh no, Johnny Pickard's out of fuel. That's rather an embarrassing mistake for a racing driver to make, particularly since he was doing so well and keeping up with Jack Green. They were having a really good fight, and that probably has, other than the safety car, sort of killed the race off really.
There's Rowe being punted off again. This is the incident where Green runs into him. James Rowe just pulled out in front of him, and Green was faced again with the broadside of an accident from much earlier. This is about lap 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah, we're watching replays of various little bits of action during the race, basically, because we're trundling around under the safety car, looking like we're going to finish the race under the safety car. That's James Rowe coming together again. That was the one that was probably a little unfair to him, because it did look like both of the cars lost the back end, and in trying to correct, the drivers made contact.
So the safety car is going to finish the race now, and so the results will be as the safety car came out, with Pinola in first, Hopkinson second, Green in third, Pep a lap behind in fourth, Sherborne, Pickard fifth and sixth. Pickard was 2 laps behind. Hovarth, Bauer, Lang down to ninth. Then the retirements of Rowe, Dawes, Bateman and Baker, as though Pickard will still be classified because he ran out of fuel with just 1 lap to go rather than most, so he'll still pick up points for 6th place.
Yeah, I still feel a bit sorry for the guy because he was in 4th and pushing so hard. I must admit I didn't notice Bagerman get retired. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. He was driving an XRT.
Just wondering how much Pickard was hoping that the safety car, and therefore the lower fuel consumption, would help his cause. He was probably hoping to trickle around in top air and save fuel.
Yes, quite. Man, just didn't quite work out for him. Oh well. It'll be a lesson learned for the next race.
Yeah, you
Put enough fuel in the car.
You won't see a mistake
Not
like that.
too little.
A mistake like that happening.
No.
Okay, so that's it. This is the provisional results.
Pinola wins. It's a cracking drive by the young lad from his own hometown. Second we have Sam Hopkinson, third Jack Green, fourth Hep, fifth Sherborne, sixth Pickard, and unfortunately ran out of fuel, seventh Hovarth, eighth Bauer, ninth Lang, 10th Rowe, 11th Dawes, 12th Bagerman, 13th Baker. For round 3 the series moves to Aston Club, back on the tarmac again. It's going to be interesting to see how the seesaw effect of different surfaces and different driver techniques affects the championship standings. I would expect that the FXOs will return to their former dominance on the tarmac, although with new drivers coming in and an expanded grid, it could be interesting to see what the new talent and new skills can bring to this championship. With the return of some of the faster XRT drivers, it may not go all the FXO's way. We look forward to seeing you for round 3. We hope you'll join us and enjoy the broadcast. when hopefully we should be able to get some live comment at the end of the race from some of the drivers on how they felt it went, their standings in the championship, etc. That's all for now. This is Mike and Tristan signing off. We'll see you next time for Aston Club Round 3.